What is going on, gang members? We have April 23rd, 2026 trade recap. Tilt day for me for sure. Uh, Took too many trades, entered too early off the open, didn't respect my stop loss. Really, the entire slew of mistakes and errors. No matter how long you've been doing this, right? Those days are inevitable. They'll happen. And what's important is what you do going forward, right? Get back to your identity, right? Set your stop loss, respect the stop loss, enter when your entry criteria sets up, right? Um, so we'll go through each trade. I think ultimately there were some, pretty good trades, honestly. I'd probably take them again. And then some that were definitely just, I was trading my P&L at some point, right? So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I have here pulled up the trades starting at 9:30. There we go. So starting off with Google. So Google opens pre-market right at previous day high. Google breaks above and begins putting a hammer candle, a tweezer right here at 9:30, right? So again, I try not to do this today. I was looking at this setup. I was looking at Google. I was anticipating that this was going to happen, and maybe that was the mistake right there. I was anticipating it, wasn't necessarily reacting. Price pushes back up. This is this green line. Sorry, this green line right here is last week's high. So was pushing up into resistance, which in hindsight, right, I should have recognized that and probably have said, hey, maybe this is limited upside, right? And ultimately ended up, reversing. I held. It started reclaiming previous day high, reclaimed here. This was looking great. And then it just chopped around, and this was so painful and just so painful. And then it pushes up here, and I don't take it because I averaged into it right here. The contracts were so juiced on the open that by the time it got up to this point, it was like I was up like 3%. It was pretty bad. So I held, and then it dumps all the way down. And yeah, so pretty painful. I actually held this pretty much all day. Listen, I'm not proud of it. I'm man enough to say it. I held it all day through this shitty news, awful news, and this whole manipulation from this, whatever this news was. I forgot what it was, honestly. So yeah, took a loss on this one, held it, literally again up until it just the contracts just lost all their value, which was not so great. So definitely a mistake on my part. Something I'll look to fix moving forward for sure. But anyway, moving forward, CoreWeave. CoreWeave was this was a trade off of last week's high. So this is last week's high right here. CoreWeave, again, right? This is something, I guess, a theme for today. There's resistance above this. Even though there is a level here, this is a key level, there is resistance above this. This is yesterday's high right here, right? So this is resistance, and even though there's a level, like the upside, potential is just not as, it's not as juicy, right? This move isn't as juicy. So it does get up there, it, bounces, right? And it just ultimately fails it. So entered right at the level, got a good fill. And then, again, like it sells off, pushes back up. I'm holding it through this entire piece, right? And again, I'm sized appropriately. So it's not like I wasn't, I was stressing it a bit, right? But I wasn't like over my head to where I was panicking at this move right here. I was holding this because I was sized appropriately. And ultimately, it just ended up selling off all day. I didn't end up holding it through this. I ended up selling that a little earlier, which is good. After that, it was Carvana. So at that point, right, Google and CoreWeave, I'm annoyed, right? I'm kind of pissed off at this point because these are in my head, right? I'm taking trades at the level. The entry criteria is there. It breaks above, retests, looks like it's pushing back up, and then it just chops around. So I'm upset, right? Like I'm not happy about that. and that's kind of that's the slippery slope right there, right? As soon as you recognize that you're getting to that point where you're like, all right, like I'm getting annoyed at this, like you have to know yourself enough to know that that's a theme for you to be able to recognize that, to step away. And even if you do, right, I recognize that in myself. You have to do it, right? Like it's one thing to recognize it, it's another thing to actually do it. So, and again, no matter how long you've been doing this, it's inevitable. And you know, for me personally, these type of days, right, like going forward tomorrow, this isn't going to happen. Point blank, this is not going to happen. Because you know, when I fall off the horse, right, I get back on, and whatever made me fall off the horse before, I'm you know, damn sure not doing that again. So, let me scroll up a bit here. So at this point, I am down on the day. I'm down on the day, and I don't take a trade for another hour until 11 o'clock. And at 11 o'clock, it's CAR. So CAR is just a meme, like just insane. It's just a meme. Down. You know, yesterday it was at $850. Today it's at $200. So just laughable. So you know, at this point, I'm not gonna lie. I'm chasing, trying to make some of the money back. Right. That is a deadly sin in trading. Deadly sin in trading. I am not proud of this. I am not proud of it, but I will acknowledge that this is something that I did and something that I cannot afford to continue to do. Right. And I don't normally do, but every now and then it happens, and it's a good reminder to myself, right, to not do it again, and to put guardrails in place so that it doesn't happen. Because at this point, you know, I'm taking a trade I truthfully have no business being in. There is no key level here. I mean, I guess there is, right? Like this is last week's low right here. So we break below, CAR sells off, breaks below, retests from below. I enter thinking it's going to continue lower because this is something that never happened. I mean, this type of move like this doesn't happen. $800 to $200. So it's going to continue to sell off. Like there's no other option. So I did hold through this little bounce right here, but I was never really down more than I think like 20%. And then I take partials into the low of day. Bought for 23 and sold for 34. Oh, you can't see it. 34 and 41. Not bad. But like again, I don't really have any business being in that, truthfully. So, not great. Again, I'm not proud of it. Not proud of that at all, truthfully. I end the day green, but you know, there's a reality where I don't end the day green, and yeah, I mean, again, it's an anti-pattern. You shouldn't get comfortable with that, and you know, again, no matter how long you've been doing it, sometimes you'll slip up, and you just got to get back on the horse. MU, this was just, you know, it'd been running all day. At this point, you know, I honestly, in the back of my head, thought it was. I mean, it was exhausted. I mean, look at this move. I mean, it's pretty substantial. Didn't know how much meat was left on the bones, but you know, if it's strong, you know, you got to try to ride the wave. So I waited for it to break above yesterday's high, pull back, started bouncing, pushed back up into high of day. Not bad. Slams down. Just slammed, like slam. Look at that, slammed. I mean, absolutely demolished. So this was the exhaustion, right? Like, look at this: 1 wave, 2 wave, 3 wave, 4 wave, 5, 6, 6 waves. Like, maybe it would be crazy. Would it be impossible? No. 6 waves, unlikely, right? So it breaks. It does hold. It breaks in again. I'm late in the day at this point. Taking trades I really shouldn't be taking. You know, at 12:30 in the lunch hour, because I'm trading my P&L, right? And again, it goes back to, you know, that's psychological. Again, I'm waiting for levels to show up, but at the end of the day, right, like I very well could have just taken trades in the morning, waited for setups, and have been done by 11:30. So, all right, after MU, we had, yeah, so after MU, we have SPY. And here's where things got kind of crazy. So SPY sells off, right? Is chopping around all day. Retest the weekly high. This is the weekly high, previous all-time high, right? Triple top high. This is insane. Test that, rejects, sells off, and at this point, I'm looking at pre-market low right here. So price gets down there. Price is bouncing. It's bouncing. Bouncing around. Price breaks back above this right here for a second, right? And it closes above the level. I enter as it closes above, and the candle instantly sells off. All the way down here. So I hold through this entire pullback until we get down to this level, right? And look at this level. This is the weekly low. So this is from Tuesday. 2 days ago. This is Tuesday's low. And a high from last week as well, from a Thursday high. We get down there. I add as we bounce off of the weekly low right here. Probably should be more over here, actually. Whatever. Should be like right here. As we bounce off this level, this candle comes in, and as soon as I see that, I'm like, all right, I mean, this is manipulation and people just reloading. The hedge funds are just reloading banks. So I hold. And I held. Look. And I held. I bought these 134, 144. 134, 144. 134 on this candle. 144 right here on this candle. And I held 156 to 202. 156, so I take some off, right? You never know, right? Good risk management, you never know. 202, so as we push into this previous high right here, 202, 211, 230, 250. 211 as we push up, break that high again, 250. So and then it sells off, and I close out for the rest. I close out the rest at let's see, 330, 315. So again, not my proudest day, right? I am ending the day green. I am ending the day green. Let's see. Let's do this. I'm ending the day green. Am I happy about it? Like, no, absolutely not. I'm not. Disgusted, to be honest with myself. Awful day. You know, it does go to show that, like, you listen, you wait for key levels, you wait to react to see what price action does, and it works out, right? You don't want to jump the gun. You don't want to jump in too early. You want to wait for entry confirmation. You want to wait for the signal. You want to wait for the entry confirmation candle, right? But ultimately, none of that matters if you are not setting your stop loss and respecting your stop loss, right? And you know, that was me today, right? So hopefully you learned something from this. You know, at least for me personally, moving forward, right? Going into tomorrow. All right, it's a Friday. I'll probably take it a little slower, and you know, take the lessons from today and go into tomorrow with those lessons. So again, hope you guys learned something from this. Have a good one.